Yeah, this guy comes in and he's telling us it's from the Y-Files, but he's talking about this other dude who's like a 33rd degree Mason, but he's spilling the beans, dude.
33rd degree Mason, by the way, is the highest point that you can get.
Yeah, and 33 is
it's the year that Christ died. It's
everything.
A Masonic stronghold, 33 degrees of a pyramid. So it's
it's
the highest level.
That's deep.
It means a lot of things too. It's like there's some with space travel that anyway, I won't go into stuff I don't fully know, and I don't fully know everything. But this story is pretty interesting because so he's coming out and he's like, okay, the Masons were they're just like an offshoot after all of the Templar Knights were killed, and so but they knew that there was going to be this like move against them, so they sent their fleet. They had a fleet. They had their own army,
which is crazy to think
about. They had all this. They were a country. They were loaning money to kingdoms.
The Knights of the Templar.
Yeah, and it's because they would essentially they created modern banking, which is just so many fascinating things with the Templar. So I could go to like my little fort and just put my gold in there, and then they could give me a piece of paper, aka a check. Mm-hmm. And I could go to 1,000 miles away, present this piece of paper, and they just give me gold. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. I mean, they didn't have the internet, they didn't have all that stuff, and so
no one's jumping you on the trail, taking your gold.
Yeah, so you don't have to keep a strong box, and
it's pretty smart.
So anyway, so they did that for hundreds of years, and so but they would charge a little fee,
right?
And so they made all this money. Mm-hmm. And they were obviously went to the Holy Land. I mean, there's so many things I'm leaving out. It's such a cool story. But they go to the Holy Land, and essentially they're there because they're like, well, I mean, the story goes, they're there because it's the Holy Land. And Christianity needs to be defended from, the Muslims, essentially.
Right.
And there was obviously war and terrible things happened both ways. But this guy's like, no, that wasn't why we were there. We were there trying to find the Ark of the Covenant. Because the Ark of the Covenant was
sweet,
a way to gather energy from the pyramids. Because the Knights Templar, when they became a Knights Templar, one of their ordinances was using verbiage and language that included the pyramids. And to this day, when you become a Freemason, they talk about the pyramids in their induction ceremonies. Well, why are they talking about the pyramids? They weren't in Egypt.
That's weird.
They were in the Holy Land, right? If this is to be believed that they're from the Knights Templar.
Right.
So, but then he even said something I never even heard anyone say before, which is that they not only found the Ark of the Covenant, that they found writings that there's 9 of them. So
there's 9
Arks
of the Covenant.
Yeah, and some of them are exactly like described that have the teachings that came from Moses, and it's in there. But also, they're essentially these ways to carry the power.
Okay.
And that they found 6 of the 9, and that's what they were actually protecting. And so when you went there, you'd be a regular old Knight Templar, but to get into the Brotherhood, which was the highest degree, which ended up turning into this 33-degree Mason thing. Yeah. Then they would tell you about this type of stuff. Additionally, there was, there's some cuckoo stuff, but it's fun. It's kind of fun cuckoo stuff. They found, there's bones of certain people that there shouldn't be bones of, right? So they're questioning. He's questioning some of the Christian beliefs because maybe there's Christ's bones, which obviously wouldn't be true, and I don't believe it's true for the record.
Right.
Yeah.
But if he was resurrected, then that wouldn't exist. However, he's to the point where he's saying this stuff's like some of this stuff is going to be released soon. And that's why a lot of this stuff with UFOs and all of these things are going to be brought to light. And it's all linked. And I'm like, okay. Now also, a lot of people think he's a cuckoo guy. And then he has some personal issues that are pretty weird. But he's really never lied. His dad was like a senator in Colorado. I mean, so he has a lot of stuff that's like both. I trust this guy.
Interesting connections.
But he's legit. A lot of stuff he says is true. So
it's weird that that's people's response to something that's like, oh, that's cool, that's interesting. But to then just be like, oh, he's a cuckoo, he's a nut, we need to like...
It's true. I agree with you, Fielding, but also it's like, if some guy is just like, I go to L.A. and he's just living in a tent on the sidewalk and he's telling me that he knows the secrets to wealth and fortune, I'm less inclined to believe him.
Right.
Than if someone...
But you're not going to go around being like creating a hate website against this guy, right?
I do wonder about that.
That's where I'm always
I
like...
was actually reading it's funny you brought that up. Just before here, when I was like spacing off coming here, I was just reading this like these comment section on this. There's this girl that does all these things about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and she's kind of like just talking about cool, like modern, like archaeological finds that are kind of like support maybe stuff from the Book of Mormon, etc. And it seems pretty innocuous to me, and she's a sweetheart. I probably should shout her out. I can't remember her name, but she does a good job. She's very smart, very well researched. And then the comment section is just all these people. I mean, they're just really angry. I mean, obviously they're really angry, and I don't quite get that part. Like
where that comes from.
Like I think Scientology is a little strange, but if I met a Scientologist, I would probably just be fine to have lunch with them or whatever.
He's just trying to go clear.
And I've never commented on their, if there's a pro Scientology stance, I've never gone in there like, you freaking dirty pigs.
Right.
I hate you. And it's like...
Because why would you?
Because why would I?
That's where I'm like...
even if I actually thought that, I'm like, why would I go say that? So...
Makes you think that like in those moments where you have people that are coming out with like any information, and then there's like this instant attack where everyone's like online, like, oh, they're creating like websites and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, because it's like, yeah, like normal people, like I don't have the time to do that.
Secretly though, I want some of those trolls. If you're one of those trolls and you disagree with me, I would love if you keep it to our comment section, because we only have a few comments, to be honest, and we'd like to get a little more action in there.
Tell us how stupid we are.
You just tell me how much you disagree with me, and I will fight with you in the comment section.
At least respond 10 times.
Just know that I won't enjoy it, but I will be thankful for it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, hold on. Going back to what you were talking about, how they were like, oh, we're finding bones and all that stuff with like the Freemasons, and it's all like in preparation for something. So I think I heard this, which is what we're going to talk about today, but I don't think it's any of the shorts. But Billy Carson, we talked about him last episode.
Okay.
And we're gonna take a little bit of a deep dive.
That dude's got to be the coolest Illuminati believing dude ever. Like he's got that like Riz factor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like when he's talking, you're like, oh yeah, dude. Give me like a down low.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like a lot of the other ones are kind of dorky looking dudes, and they talk with these weird like accents that are from nowhere.
He's bringing.
Like, is this guy from the moon? No, this guy's like literally like.
Yeah, stepped out of a GQ magazine.
He's like, what's up? It's like he's like from a blaxploitation movie.
Yada.
Remember those from the 70s? Like,
no.
Shaft.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
He's like he walks out of a modern day Shaft movie.
He's like Denzel in that one about the drug American Gangster. Mm-hmm. He's like the Denzel Washington of conspiracy theories.
All right, I like
that.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. Okay, so get this. So he was talking about this. I saw a video on it. And how there's all this stuff that's happening, right? You've got like alien disclosure. You've got like everyone's like something's coming. Well, this is one of his theories is this, and this one actually I thought was pretty interesting. But you know how it just recently, and I can't remember what concert it is. I never follow like actual like Hollywood stuff, but there was recently a concert where they used. Yeah, it's probably worth my time.
Super Bowl's tomorrow. I mean,
I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl.
We haven't even talked about
my Niners are playing, dude. Go to the Super Bowl. I hope that when this comes out, I'm still happy about it.
He's the praetorate or whatever, the Roman.
Whatever.
Let them eat bread.
Yeah.
Circuses.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So, going back, there was a concert just recently where they used holograms.
Oh yeah.
And it looked like fairly real.
What was the band? It was like
I can't remember.
It's like ABBA or something.
It wasn't Fleetwood Mac, but maybe it was ABBA.
I think it might have been ABBA.
Because there's 5 people in it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then it's ABBA.
And they use like the projection. Obviously, is like they have to put a like glass up, and the projection goes onto the glass, and it's like high def enough that it looks like they're really there, right? Yeah. Well, he talks about how we're like 30, 40 years, 50 years behind in technology, maybe even more. than what the government actually has.
What?
So his thing is that they're able to project people, right, using glass and like projectors and stuff. He's like, the military has the technology to project people without mirrors.
Project Bluebeam.
Yeah, so you can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're like
100
years. What you see in a movie, like what really exists.
Minority Report, dude.
Yeah, so like that stuff. I know you've been like gung ho on that. That probably exists.
You just wanna.
Yeah. Right.
Well, what just came out the Apple
dude,
things? Have
I
you
love
seen some of those?
I love all the pictures of people just like walking down the street, like.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude,
like, it doesn't
so
look nearly
crazy.
as cool as when Tom Cruise was doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like when Tom Cruise is doing it, you're like, oh, that looks rad. And then
Yeah.
you see these like guys, they have like dad bods like me, and they're like stumbling down the street.
Cheeto dust on
They
their
just walked
chest.
out of their Tesla.
Yeah.
They're walking through the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
doesn't look cool.
No.
Yeah.
So get this. With this technology, okay, this set, like the big event that's coming, he believes, is there's going to be some kind of like alien event, right? But it'll be us. It won't be real.
Yeah.
That they're
my gosh.
basically going to destroy San Francisco.
In real life?
In real life. And get this.
That's what I bet. That's the city that I'm banking on.
Yeah. So get this. And the reason
They're
why
gonna
is
wreck it.
because
I
they
haven't
have
been
all
there
these.
yet. Should I go visit first?
You're not missing much.
You
Not
just
now.
don't step on poop
No, you'll like it's like what did
or get knifed.
what did oh my
Will my
gosh.
Twitter still work?
This guy, top guy. I'm so terrible at
Alex.
things.
Alex
Did
Jones.
you hear what Alex Jones called it?
No,
He's like, it's just a city full of bum piss.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty graphic.
that's like
I don't even know what that is, but it's bad. So you don't want to go there now. But basically, it's like businesses are moving out, people are moving away. It's becoming this city of just homeless people and drugs and all kinds of stuff. Okay, so his theory is that there'll be some alien craft comes over San Francisco, blows it up somehow. City gets nuked or something, and it's gonna be people will see it. It's gonna be all over the news. The whole world is gonna be terrified, and everyone's gonna think, "Oh my gosh, we're getting attacked by aliens." But don't worry,
Okay.
because guess who's gonna appear and save us all?
Who?
Well, Jesus Christ, because it's the second coming.
and
And wait,
So
he
they'll
has
fake
friends
it,
with him.
So they'll fake it?
He has friends with him. Our good friend Buddha.
Wait a minute. So that's how the Antichrist could come into power, because then good people will then follow the bad dude.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the sky, some
I've always wondered that. Like, why would all the good
amazing projection is what it will be, but it'll be Christ, Buddha, and Muhammad.
Hey, just for everyone out there, we got a secret weapon. Just dial up General Conference, President Nelson. He'll lead you the right way.
Yeah. So don't
He'll
fall
let us
for
know
it.
if that is a projection or not.
Yeah. So his thing is that he thinks the government is going to project this, and then they'll come down and be like, all the
That
religions.
is what the Project Bluebeam says.
Yeah, all the religions are true. And that's why Christ is there, Muhammad, and Buddha. It'll unify every religion into one religion. And everyone's going to be so terrified of these aliens that they're going to look to these three beings to save them, and they'll create a one world government.
It'll feel like after 9/11 when Toby Keith was talking about red,
Yeah.
white, and blue. R.E.P. Toby Keith. He just died, dude.
We've developed several ciphers.
Was murdered in Dallas, Texas. He was shot by a sniper hiding in a building near his.
Holy fuck!
A bizarre flash occurs, and the plane has vanished. Upon
The WEF is an organization.
Right away, Houston. That
Do you know what's weird about that? So you bring up that thing,
Yeah.
the first part, and I was trying to make sure I remembered because this is somewhat relevant. So this is like a micro story of what you said. So there's this dude, he's in New Mexico, and he's by a base. And he's an engineer, has a good job, he's a smart guy, but he believes aliens are real. And now over the base, he keeps seeing lights, hearing different things over. He's an engineer, like a radio engineer. So over his shortwave radio, he's hearing weird communications and stuff. And he starts recording them. He's recording the lights over them, and he's convinced that these are aliens. So he goes, and he does work for the government with these people on the base. So he's like, he knows them. They're like friendly.
Yeah.
He goes and tells them, hey.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
And they're like,
foreshadowing. Yes, you're right.
now we have to.
So he goes and tells them, most of the people at the base are like, meh, dumb. We don't care. Yeah. Either they're like, yeah, it's our planes, or, who knows what they're thinking. But there's one group of people that apparently exist at every base. I Googled it. So, yeah, there's people that will protect the base. They're like kind of like secret agents, but only for that base. And they're authorized to kill you, do whatever you want to make sure that the operations of the base
continue.
National security, they continue. So everyone's kind of bored. He's kind of like, oh, whatever. I did my duty. I'm an American patriot. I'm done with it. Goes home. That night, 2 guys show up at his door. And they're like, hey, you're right. Everything you said is true. Not only that, and then they spin I don't remember the tale, but it's like the world leaders have been taken over. They have microchips in their head, and they just start pumping him with all this stuff. But they were in the meeting at the base, so they have this weird credibility, right? Mm-hmm. So now he already believes aliens are true, but everything they're telling him is an on-purpose lie.
Right.
Which is a typical tactic. If, they literally describe it like this. If, like, your fence is breached, don't fix the fence. Figure out how it got breached, who's breaching it, then take all that information and fix it. So they want him to continue to gather data, blah, blah, blah. So they hype him up to the point where he believes all this, he already believed alien or UFOs were real.
Right.
Now he thinks there's this huge conspiracy that they've created this in his mind.
Yeah.
To the point where he ends up getting institutionalized.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, dude.
And then the guy who was in charge of it,
and they're like, whew, glad we got
the guy in charge of this feels guilty after all these years. He comes like, hey man, sorry, it was just business, And he's the one that's telling on himself. Like, this is what we did to this guy. And so it just reminds me of that. It's like, don't think like, what, the government's too good to do this. We do this to people currently. Like, like and I say we because we got to take ownership, right? Yeah. We elect these fools, or we elect fools who have no power to control those people. And so, I always wondered, sorry, I'm thinking extra religious, but like Moroni, like, why, when the kingman, and he's like, I'm going to cut your head off if you don't swear an oath. And I was like, that's pretty freaking harsh, man. Yeah. I'm kind of a libertarian, so I'm like, yeah. As long as they don't want to attack, why not just let them be? Right. Just let them be. But I kind of get it now. He's like, no, we're getting this out. Yeah. But we don't have that anymore. Yeah. People try to go in there like, I'm going to clear the swamp, blah, blah, blah. The swamp ain't clear.
Dude, they get there and the swamp is
the swamp's too big.
The swamp's deep.
Yeah, swamp is deep.
So anyway, I mean, it's like we did that to that poor guy. I mean, he literally, like, his whole family's begging him, and he's like, no, it's real, it's real. And then the government, the guys who have been telling him that it's real, come and say, no, it was fake. And then he just barricades himself in his house, gets institutionalized. Yeah. Lives out the rest of his life, a former crazy man that barricaded him in his... I mean, this is a well-respected dude.
But now he's crazy.
Now he's crazy.
And then anything he says, anything he talks about, everyone's going to look at him as the crazy guy. And everything...
And I think he's in there a month or 2 months or something, and he gets out, and he just... He still believed in some stuff, but he quit pursuing it. He just had no passion and just lived out the rest of his life.
Well, that's like they
destroyed him.
A deep state tactic. So, like, say it was a UFO, like it was aliens. The way that he recorded the data, all of that was true.
Anything,
and then they go and tell him that yes, that's true, and like the president has a chip in his head. Yeah. So now, when that guy tells the story, everything he's saying is true. Except that point about the president and a microchip. So now the whole rest of his story is
Doesn't matter.
discredited.
That's what I think a lot of
even
it-
though it's like it's true.
That's what I think a lot of stuff we talk about is, I'm like, well, that was crazy. And I don't know which is one and which is the other, but
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff we talk about is not true. But I think it's been
Yeah,
added
yeah.
on purpose
Right.
because
Yeah.
some of it is true.
Because it's so far fetched.
Yeah.
But just like, I mean, the history of humanity and evolution and all that stuff, it's nuts. But there's so many things that are splintered off that it all just seems crazy now. So if you believe it, I don't know. I've always felt like science stands on this holier than thou point of view where I can't remember who it was, so you'll have to find the dates and stuff, but it was this female scientist who had this theory that all of the continents were
yes.
together, and science belittled her.
Like,
They're
she's
like,
an
you're an
idiot."
idiot. They cut off her funding, blah, 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 blah. And then like 30 years later, they were able to like take images of the bottom of the ocean and realized, oh. shoot, they all like are cracked, but they all fit back together. And now science is like,
She came of Pangea, right?
yes, Pangea. And so it's like, but science acts like they have all the answers and just trust us. But it's like anybody who says something against
Trust
the
the science,
scientist's
Billy.
way.
Trust the science.
Oh, don't even get me going.
Dude.
It's like you just get scoffed until
my
years
heart-
later it's proven,
I think
and
my
then
heart's
they'll
a little
like,
weak from the but trust the science, everybody.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my god.
I think
Ignore
you're-
that player that died on Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
And then we brought him back.
Well, there was a BYU Cougar that got the and his basketball career was over. I mean, it just happened to so many people.
Daniel will have to edit
Yeah, I don't have to take all the dude.
all the
gets
JB
canceled.
word.
Yeah,
Oh, you're probably right, dude. We're
it's
gonna get-
okay. We'll just bleep it.
We just believe it.
By the
Yeah.
way, you're talking about Mary Tharp,
Yes.
American
Yeah.
geologist. This was in 1940-ish.
They probably also thought
Okay.
that she was like getting hysterical.
Right.
You know, other.
They're
women-
like,
all these
she
men
just
sit
can't
around
be
with
trusted.
cigars.
She's so emotional.
She goes, why is she so emotional about this?
Yeah. It's stupid to believe that they were all the same continent.
Yeah. But when we discover it,
Take her
we'll
funding
take her-
away.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But that's where I'm like, it's just all falls into science has the high ground, but they
Yeah.
also then get to decide what is followed and what's not followed.
I
that's-
think. Go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry. I was just gonna say that's how many times have we seen like, something in the past was said, that's so far fetched. There's no way it could be real. Scientists just discredit anybody that believes it, and then fast forward 30 years, and all of a sudden, now it's true, and there it's like it's wildly accepted.
Well, one of my favorite TV shows from the 80s, you guys probably never watched it, Knight Rider. Do you remember it?
Yeah, the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never
We all
watched
have-
it, but
we
I
Never-
all
yeah.
have this watch now that we can freaking talk into, and he would always go like, "Kid, pick me up around back," and like you can actually own a Tesla
that will do that.
that will literally do that. And when it was happening, people were like, "That
Yeah.
will never happen." First of all, talking into your phone, everyone knows phones plug into the wall,
Yeah.
and they're this big. I mean, so it's like, yeah, to think that we're so static, it's so crazy. Even with
Yeah.
religion, I think a lot of people struggle with that with religion. They like, well, so-and-so at such and such said this thing and did this wrong thing. It's like, yeah, religion's progressing too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true, but true doesn't mean what I used to think it meant.
Yeah.
It's like we're on a journey
Well, it's that
in science and religion.
Yeah.
it's that theory of the scripture that came
Progressing.
out that showed that we talked about it a few days ago of that like Christ, the crucifixion never happened. And
What was the context of this?
it was that video that was sent in the group chat
The one that you-
where
the one that you sent.
Oh, I sent it.
Yeah.
where
I knew it rang a bell. I'm like,
Sounds familiar.
this sounds
I'm so
familiar.
blown away. So that Christ was never crucified,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he lived out, had family, and so now they like have the lineage of like Christ. Well, there's also out in I don't know where it was where Christ was crucified, but there's this statue called the Black Madonna, and it was modeled after
You know where Christ was crucified, though, right?
Middle East. Bethlehem.
He was born in Bethlehem. We got to have a timeout history lesson.
Okay, teach a history
About the
lesson,
greatest event
and then
in
I'll
human
continue.
history.
Jerusalem.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, that's where he was crucified.
Okay.
On the what was it?
Golgotha.
Golgotha.
Yeah, Golgotha.
Golgotha.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a Star Wars.
Well, and when you have the greatest story ever told, a lot of people are going to
People are
borrow
gonna
from
say
it.
A lot of people get.
So
Okay.
okay, all right, time back in.
So time back in. So there's the statue called the Black Madonna, and it is the people that like live in that town. They say like that was Christ's daughter, but she knew that she was like the daughter of Christ. So everybody, she stayed hidden her whole life because you can't get married. You can't, you know, that goes against like the story. And so you have religion that's like Christ died, was resurrected, bing, bang, boom. But then it's like there's this other one that's like, well, no, Christ was never crucified. None of that happened. And then you have this other one that's like, oh, well, it was, but he was married and he had a kid. And so it's like there's so many different like crazy things that
Yeah,
it's like, who knows?
yeah. I agree.
I'm just gonna stick to like Mark, Luke, John.
The car,
Bible.
the car. What was that word?
Golgotha.
Golgotha.
I think it means
He wasn't even close.
Hill of the Skull,
Hill of the Skull.
because apparently
They should
when
just
you would
call
be
it
walking,
that. That's
when
sweet.
you Golgotha means that in a different language.
And I'm so happy now.
So you
It's
come
easy to
up,
remember now.
when you would
easy
when
to
you would
remember.
walk up to it, it had some like depressions, like
Mm-hmm.
little not caves per se, but so it would kind of look like a skull apparently, and so that's why they chose it, because it wasn't just Christ who was crucified. Many people have been crucified there.
I mean,
Yeah.
you blew my mind that there's 13 Arks of the Covenant.
I think
Are
he
we-
said 9.
9. Okay. Are we also
13
gonna-
sounds cool though.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
I'm not saying I
30
believe that for
There's
everything.
33 Arks of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, I guess we can.
Masonic strong number.
Yeah,
And then
so-
we're going to find 9 Spears of Destiny. Have they ever found the Spear of Destiny? Or is that just a fabled thing?
just the Nazis. I mean,
I was like, I
and
know that Hitler went out looking for.
I don't
I don't
think
think
so.
they ever found it though.
I don't think so.
But I mean, if you watch the latest Indiana Jones
Yeah,
He's got it.
or Constantine,
it is weird. It is weird if none of this is true at all. Why do these stories persist? Just because they're interesting? Or
Right.
are they interesting because there's a fragment of truth in them?
well, it has to.
I think it's a foothold of like what it's all about, our whole existence.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's something I do come back to often. We are not here on accident.
No.
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 I 100% believe that. So,
Yeah.
and that can tie a lot. So I just try to keep my head on a swivel. My understanding of the truth is flawed, small. So I'm just going to keep my eyes on, like I said, follow the prophet, but also study, think, reason, question.
Yeah.
I
that's-
I taught the Old Testament in church, and I remember they talked about was it Jacob wrestled with an angel? You ever hear that story?
Mhm.
And do you remember what happened to him? He
No.
wrestled so hard with this angel,
He slept for 3 days.
his hip broke.
Whoa.
Dude,
Yeah,
that hurt.
and I think it's a good analogy of like, this is a good guy, and he's wrestling with an angel who's from God.
Yeah. So probably
Why were
also
they-
a good guy.
Yeah, why were they wrestling?
Yeah.
Well, I just like think of it as like, you should question what you believe before someone else questions it.
Yeah.
Find out what you really believe, and then you can stick with it.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah.
That's so true though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because yeah, if
Yeah.
you don't question it yourself and try to figure out like the root foundation of what your beliefs are, and I think it has to happen at a young age, because if not,
I don't
Like,
think
you
mine
think
happened
about-
at a young age.
I mean, I think for me it was like, it probably was like mid to late 20s, where I was like kind of finally like,
Yeah, it's true.
all right, I think, yeah, this is what I believe and this is like my foundation and no one's going to change that. But all the way up until then, bro,
We got some young listeners.
Better
Question
figure it
your
out.
parents.
Wrestle
Yeah.
angels.
Don't clean your room just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Just question authority, but remember they love you,
Yeah.
so you can.
it's honestly, it's as a parent, there's part one half of me was like, don't listen to anything Travis says. You better do what your parents say. But then the other side
Make
is
your
like,
flipping bed.
that's the best time for you to start questioning things is when you live under your parents' house. It's a controlled environment, and they have your best interest in mind. Because if you wait, and that's what I was saying, like, that's why you got to do it. Try to, like, you got to do that while you're young. Because if not, you wait till your 20s in your own house.
As a rock star.
Yeah.
Not a good way to
Game
go.
over, man.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so true.
You'll be remembered forever by people who don't matter.
Right. Yeah. Who are also going to die at 27.
Brutal.
All right.
All right, well, let's jump into today's episode.
That was fun.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Today we're actually going to do kind of like a reaction video, which we've not done before, but just recently.
Can we do the one where you like just point and like question?
Yeah.
When I was first on TikTok, I saw some like girl who'd never said anything, and she just like did that point and then just like sat on the screen like watching another video play.
Yes.
And I remember asking my wife like,
What
is this
happening?
it? This TikTok thing is stupid. Like, why does anybody
it's a
watch
phase.
this?
No one will. It will catch
No
on.
one's even like, she's not adding anything to the video.
I know, man. I actually wonder that too.
But now I'm deep into TikTok, so I'm like,
Yeah.
make my own.
I agree with her opinion that she never said.
And then jump out, and then
She
jump
knows what
back
she's talking
in.
about.
Yeah.
She's
Oh
like,
yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah.
She's like,
Dude, it's so true.
it's like what?
And then they're like just making millions, and they're just like,
Yeah.
So I
And
just
they
like,
don't. It's not. It's just like the same clip of them doing this.
yeah.
and they just put it on new videos,
50 things.
I did do one of them, and it was me doing my own face,
which was
I just-
hilarious.
I thought it was so funny.
Was that when you're in your car?
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
it's
just
like,
like,
TikTok
Yeah.
Inception.
Sick.
So sick.
I don't know why I thought it was so funny. I like the, you ever
Well, it's
see Bill?
funny because it's ironic. Like you're not like
You ever see Bill and Ted's Adventure, Excellent Adventure?
the original. Yeah.
And they bring all those guys from the past. I sometimes think how cool it would be to bring like, all right, you just bring like, you Genghis Khan, and you're like, here's what the world turns into.
Yeah.
This guy that like just literally like had raped thousands of women and stuff, and he's like, now we just like pointed things on this green screen.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? Or
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln is like,
I wonder if like the
all that stress you did, it led to saving America, and here's what we
Yeah.
do
here's
now.
what we did.
I think of like the founding fathers. If they saw
that's so funny.
the state of things now, if they're like, yeah, that's what we envisioned would happen. That's why we set up all these like roadblocks on either side. Or if they're like,
Run it back.
you
Let's
guys
do it over.
threw out all the things that protected you, you idiots. Like, we're like, yeah, but we're safe.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny.
I don't know. On one hand, we're so blessed, and on the other hand, we're on the precipice of.
Complete destruction.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, there's more literate people. There's people live longer in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
You know, it's like there's so many really awesome things, and then it's like, but we don't care.
Yeah.
We don't
That's so
appreciate it.
funny. All right, so this is what we're doing today. There recently was an episode released by an amazing podcast show, the Shawn Ryan Show. If you haven't, check his out. He interviews.
He does a good job interviewing.
He does. He does an amazing job at interviewing, but he also, kind of his background, Shawn Ryan, is he was a Navy SEAL. And he originally, his channel started off as like, kind of like a tactical gun reviewing type channel. And then he's like, no, I want to start like interviewing people. So he's interviewed a lot of soldiers, a lot of special forces individuals, and they get to tell their story, which is super cool. But he's recently, probably in the last like year, gotten into kind of uncovering the truth behind things.
Dude, that's how it happens.
And he started getting into, he interviewed a lot of the people that testified about the UFO hearing that the Senate did. He brought a lot of those people on. He's brought on politicians. He brought in a lot of people. But just recently, in the last, like, probably, I think that episode came out 2 weeks ago, he interviewed Billy Carson. And Billy Carson, for those of you that don't know, we talked about him a little bit on our last episode, but he basically has degrees at Harvard, MIT, is an astrophysicist, He has his own company.
He's so much cooler than Neil deGrasse Tyson, too.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like Neil deGrasse Tyson.
You know when they get like celebrities and they're like, hey, we should have him fight in like UFC? I would love to see Billy Carson fight Neil
Carson
deGrasse.
off the floor, dude.
Dude, he would just rock him. It'd be so cool. But anyways, so what we wanted to do, that episode is amazing, by the way. I highly recommend it. Check out, once again, Shawn Ryan Show and the Billy Carson episode. But we've actually grabbed some of the shorts from the Shawn Ryan Show with Billy Carson in them.
And I have purposely not watched these so that I can...
Correct.
I'd just be like...
Yeah, so we can get your reaction.
We put it over you.
So, what we're going to do is we're actually going to jump into some of these shorts. We'll obviously play them, and then we'll talk a little bit about them and kind of what our thoughts are and those kinds of things. So, it's a wide spectrum of different topics. But here in the studio, we've got a TV on the other side that we're going to end up playing these on. And so that's what we're going to do today. A little bit of like a reaction video to Shawn Ryan's show.
This will be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see how this goes, and you guys can tell us whether or not we should do it again or never ever do it, ever. So,
he's so cool looking that it's just going to enhance our show.
Right.
Yeah. Because
I feel like I need to start wearing
I
vests.
really like these guys. Well, I mean, he's cool, obviously.
Obviously, dude.
dude, freaking Tom DeLonge, coolest dude ever.
I just think we need to like add room,
Yeah,
maybe bump a few of them down.
I think our homie
Put Billy a little bit higher.
We'll we need it. Well, first of all, we need to put him on there. Okay, all right, Trav, you ready for this, dude? Buckle up, man. Here's our first video. So we're gonna play this and.
Tight and snug are these 60 and 70 ton what look like sarcophagus. They're not sarcophagus because there's no dead bodies in them. They're clean. You can eat off the floor inside of those things. I've stood inside of them. They're higher than my head, and I'm 6'4". The lids weigh like 40 tons. If you read the animal tablets, you discover those were the halls of Amenti, where these beings claimed to have rejuvenation chambers. And they would put bodies in them, and they would literally had some type of technology that would transfer their consciousness into a new body when the other one wore out. And they would put the wore out body in these things and let them rejuvenate over time. Sounds crazy, but now modern science is doing the same exact thing. They literally are right now doing the same exact thing, learning how to transfer human consciousness from one body to another. They've even created mind links where they can transfer an active awake person's mind into a person that is already awake and conscious.
Wait a minute. Who's doing this?
Scientists at the Brain Institute and other laboratories all around the world.
Brain Institute? I'm just got to Google that really quick. It just sounds like...
So here's
who's transferring your consciousness? Brain Institute.
So here's
remember how we talk about like movies are ahead of what's actually happening.
Yeah, that like the technology we have available was available almost 50 years ago.
So like, I mean, they have movies like that where they just transfer somebody's consciousness.
What? It's called the Brain Science Institute, Johns Hopkins.
Yeah.
So
you get this.
It's a real thing.
Yes. So get this.
Dude, none of this stuff is fake. It's all real.
It's all real.
Dude, so get this. Get this. So at the Brain Institute,
okay,
what they've done is they have actually successfully been able to complete a test where what it was is they took two people, they put one person in a room in front of a TV that was hooked up to a video game console.
This is like, okay, is this, clarify though, is this like medically accepted?
Is this one of your fringe points of view?
Yeah, I mean, I like the fringe, but I just want to like.
I have not been able to confirm myself.
Okay.
Other than what Billy Carson has said.
Oh, okay.
And what the Brain Institute has said, but this piece I'm not 100% sure on.
But okay, that's okay though. I just wanted context on it.
Yeah. So, but here's what Billy Carson states has been done. Okay. Is that they had one person sit in front of a TV, there's a video game console, he's watching a video game, but he does not have the controller. Mm-hmm. So he's only observing. Then, through this consciousness and being able to transfer consciousness into each other, into other people, there's another person in another room holding the controller that cannot see the TV.
What?
But connects, through consciousness of some kind, to the person watching the TV, and that person's connected to him. So the person that's watching the TV is telling him what to do with the controller. And then he's communicating that information back to him, that it's happening. So essentially, a person's playing the video game that can't see the TV, but the person that's watching it is basically communicating everything he needs to do.
This is going to blow open like all these universities that have esports scholarships. Can you imagine a 4-man Fortnite team that could just like linked
telekinetically talk to each other?
And then like I wouldn't have to say that I was going to go like do a little dance on someone's body. They would just know.
Yeah,
I was already going to do that. Like,
It's like
well, you think of the Black Mirror show, and like that's part like they put like people's consciousness in another person. And so like I can't remember, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's like his wife died and her memory is like, so she exists now in his head still.
And it's her?
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's her, yeah, but in his head. And so they're like in an elevator and like this hot girl walks in. And he like checks her out, and then she's like, "I saw that. Like, I can feel your body too. Like, you checking her out and blah blah." And he's just like, "Don't do this." Like,
ooh.
But I'm just like,
that could
it'd be
get
awful.
That could get,
yeah.
It'd be not good.
oh my gosh. Well,
But
okay,
to
so
go
that's
back to like,
interesting.
so ancient.
So he's thinking
Egypt,
that's what these boxes. Okay, I don't get the connection.
inside the pyramids.
Yes. Okay. So then, but okay. So in his mind, is there some link? Like he's like, well, there's a huge stone box, and the Brain Institute's doing this video game thing, so the stone box is for transferring consciousness. Like I don't get the right.
Well, there's like a
So
lot
there's
of
records
Yeah.
in
Okay.
Egypt that talk about what they're doing, and so you have these people that are like.
So we thought it was
about
like
the
this thing of
gods.
they're going down the river of death or whatever.
Right.
But really, it's like
Well, do you remember the movie Stargate?
yeah.
Do you remember when the alien
Oh
lady gets
my-
hurt or guy gets hurt and he puts him in the
Whoa.
coffin and it shuts and he regenerates his body?
Hold on a second.
Chop's like, I need another jab.
And then when the girl gets hurt, the
That-
smart military guy takes her
Yes.
up there and puts her in it and it saves her because she got shot.
Whoa.
See,
So
movies are
it's-
telling you, dude.
They always do. So it's something about where the pyramid
true.
is and the energy that's inside of it can heal our bodies.
Because his theory is that the pyramid wasn't just a power source, it was a communication source, it was an energy source, it was like all these different things. So not only was it providing power, it was a way of
True, and they
communicating.
did say
Yeah.
that right there.
Power
I know
plant
it's just a
slash
movie, but-
hospital slash
So
IT.
Yeah.
So this guy didn't make this idea up then.
No. And you'll find that a lot of his ideas, they're not his.
His ideas, yeah.
Yeah. They're not his. This is stuff that he's like found and shared. All right, let's jump to the next one.
That's cuckoo.
Does that sit well with you? You can.
I'm just thinking about it, it's like, all right.
I'm gonna digest that one for a minute.
Yeah, because well, I'm trying to, you put it, I try to like always just organize these thoughts a little bit because it's hard to.
Right.
That would be interesting because just the thing that comes to my mind is the Garden of Eden story.
What about it?
Interesting.
Or
So
what part of it?
So the Garden of Eden story, nothing in like mechanically or logistically about how that is similar, but there was one comment that, he didn't want them to have the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right?
Right.
Because without death, if they had that, that's bad. Because they become without death, but they haven't done the things necessary to be able to handle it.
Okay.
To become like him, like God.
Okay,
Right.
I'm following you.
So this could be a representation of like an evil thing. Like, all right, we have figured out how to live forever.
Mm-hmm.
However, we do not accept, in my belief, Christ, his teachings that make
Like you haven't conquered
ready.
your ego.
Right.
And so your ego living forever is a bad thing. Where if you can overcome your
And
ego
maybe
of a
not
natural man.
Yeah, and maybe not ego, but just like, am I ready to live forever? No, I don't think I am.
Yeah, I
don't
still
think
air
I'm-
fry my food.
Yeah, freaking spraying Pam all over it. So it's like it's interesting. I not that but I do kind of go to a binary. I'm like, all right, so what? Where's fit? I guess it would fit with like if you were trying because I do believe Satan's real. He's trying to like corrupt God's creations, us.
Yeah.
Right.
And that would be a really tempting thing for us. Hey,
Right.
here's how you could live forever, which is what he was telling Eve in the Garden of Eden.
Not only that, here's how you can get into somebody else's body
Possessed.
while yours rejuvenates. So if I wanted to be, how tall are you? 6'3", 6'4"? If I wanted to be like a tall guy, I just put you in the other one. And I just lay down. Then I'm like,
Really
I can
tempting
touch
if
the
like,
rim.
would my knees hurt after? No. Oh, interesting. Now I'm really interested. All I have to do is all this other evil stuff,
Yeah.
but I can just stand up straight.
Couple
as soon as I
sacrifices
get out
here
of
and
bed.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Pros and cons.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Here's our next one.
That's crazy.
What makes you think that they've already made communications?
To me, just based on the advancement in sciences and what looks and appears to be of NASA as a front, the fake space agency, in other words, doing all the things that are already done in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and still utilizing those same techniques today. We know that they're 300 years ahead of us technologically. They meaning the private corporations. Well, why aren't we seeing any of that tech being used? And I know this 300 years ahead from my private meetings. So I have a tech company called First Class Space Agency. Now, I was privy to a TS clearance for private space meetings at the Space Symposium in Colorado a few years ago. And in this room, I'm sitting there with some of the top tech companies in the world in space, travel, and also ancillary parts for space. And they're all talking about how advanced they are. And the number is 300 years ahead of the general population. So if they're 300 years of the general population, 300 years ahead, then what in the world are we doing with chemical rockets going up into space and all this kind of crazy stuff? So to me, when they say that they're communicating, I say, let me extrapolate a little bit more.
So basically,
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm saying it's like 50 years ahead on last podcast or 100 years. He's saying
He
they're
says some,
300 years.
he throws out some red flag sayings. I mean, I maybe have to rerun it. Did he say space meeting?
Yeah. Why is that a red flag thing?
I don't know if I'm like if I'm pretending when I'm like 9 and I have like a tree fort. I'm like, hey guys, let's gather in the tree fort for the space meeting.
Well, I think if
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
it's
I'm
Toy
not
Story.
saying-
if you're talking, like he's talking about, what was his company? TS Space.
TS Space Agency, I think.
So
we can
you
go back.
have
Do you want to go back?
A space
Sure.
agency. Wouldn't you have meetings about space?
I don't know.
Like,
Okay, hold on.
and
Let's
then
see what he actually
what
says.
should
I'm going to
we
go back.
call our
I might be
meeting?
being overcritical, but he's
should
like,
we call our
he's like
meeting?
super cool sounding. He's just like, yeah. He's like, what makes you think this? Well, I was in the space meeting. These space people were talking about space things, and
You
so
also
I went out in my space
forgot
coat.
to slam NASA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, NASA sucks. Space. I was like, I don't know. If I throw space into all my language, then it sounds a little techier, but it's
Yeah.
also.
Shoot, hold on.
But also, well, you're right. What would you say? You would call it probably a space meeting.
Yeah.
But it could be about the things that are in space.
Could be things that are in space, right?
Do you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's
Now,
It's
I'm
funny
probably
that-
being hypercritical. He seems really cool.
of course he's
Dude, of course he's
Which,
cool.
if someone's going to
like
lie to me, I
Billy.
want him to be cool. Yeah,
Right.
He goes by Billy still. He's an adult.
yeah.
It's like him, Billy Madison. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
So,
Billy Joe.
yeah.
He's dope, dude. You
Yeah,
can't
Bill
you can't take that away from him.
But, okay.
Okay, we got to go back and see if he said space meeting.
Okay,
you may be making a
this
big
could
deal
be a
out of
meeting where I'm
All
just
right,
like,
hold on.
this could be old.
You're never gonna get us invited.
Yeah. Sorry, Billy.
In other words, doing all the things that are already done in the 1950s,
here we
60s,
go.
and 70s, and still utilizing those same techniques today. We know that they're 300 years ahead of us technologically. They meaning the private corporations. Well, why aren't we seeing any of that tech being used? And I know this 300 years ahead from my
There we go.
private meetings. So I have a tech company called First Class Space Agency.
All right.
I was privy to a TS clearance for private space meetings at the Space Symposium. in
Private
Colorado.
space meetings.
Yeah, dude, you had it wrong. They're
Yeah.
private.
Okay, I stand corrected. I didn't know that they were private space meetings. Which,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, you're probably now talking like 13, 14-year-old
Yeah.
space meetings, not
Yeah.
9.
Yeah, no girls.
Yeah,
No
when I
girls,
was
though.
9, I wasn't thinking they needed to be private.
Girls allowed, dude. No girls allowed in this
Yep.
private space meeting,
Oh, man.
which could be why there's a gender gap in engineering.
That could be why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, doesn't obviously discount anything. I mean, he says, but it doesn't
sit well with you.
It just seems like a red flag with some of the stuff. But now the things that are interesting to me is I do believe. So there's this thing in economics. My degree's in economics. So let's say you own a company. Let's use cell phones so people can kind of understand it better. And you have your first iteration is the brick phone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say that your very next idea is let's make the iPhone.
Yeah. So you have to go to a cell phone meeting.
Yeah,
a private cell phone meeting.
Go to a private cell phone meeting because that's what it's called. But in this private cell phone meeting, you're like, let's do it. This is going to make us way ahead because this is obviously way better than the brick phone.
Correct.
But a very wise gentleman says, hold up. Let's only iterate one step forward. Because there's this class called early adopters. Daniel's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they will always pay a super premium for just one step more.
Right.
And so let's break this gap between the brick phone and
you always
the
have the
iPhone
cool gadgets.
That's true.
Into 15 steps. That way, every time we iterate, Daniel is going to go pay a premium. But whereas if we only do it once, we're going to get rid of all of those other steps, and he'll just pay one premium. And so it actually rings true because it is an economic theory that exists to do this exact same thing. So then you release a new technology, everyone goes and waits in line, gets it, are the early adopters.
But you've only upgraded the camera by this much.
You could have done a lot more. And we've seen that because we've had better cameras than are on the iPhones.
Hey, a 5-pixel upgrade's meaningful.
Yeah, I see.
Calm down.
See what I mean? He's like, I would pay $1,100 for that. And so you have that, but then you get to trickle it down. So then there's the people like me that are like, well, I'm going to take my iPhone 8, and now I'm going to get an iPhone 10.
Yeah.
Even though I still haven't.
You still have the button.
It's fine.
So then you were able to get
secure.
marginal returns on all these different classes, but you get 10 of them instead of one of them.
And that makes sense.
So if they have that technology, they won't. They'll be like, all right, let's release the microwave.
Right.
Let's, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because those companies also, there's so much back and forth with politics with those private companies.
Yeah.
So, they're going to say, okay, we did all this stuff with the moon. Now we're starting to get satellite images of like Neptune or whatever. Yeah. But we need more money to go further out to get more pictures. Yeah. And so the American population is going to continue to vote for these bills to give NASA dump trucks full of money.
And on the one hand, everyone's like,
I've really never thought of it that way. Of like, they're keeping us hooked by just giving us enough to keep us engaged.
Dude, this also goes back to like a theory I've had for the longest time. Well, not longest, probably the last 10 years. I firmly believe, buckle up for this is going to blow you guys away. I firmly believe that companies manufacture to breaking points.
Oh, yeah.
That's
100%.
100%.
Watch the episode. There's a YouTube one on the light bulbs industry.
Yeah.
And
I've heard that one too.
100%. It's like it's like not even.
They had like
we wouldn't even do a report on that,
and they're like,
we wouldn't do a report on that because it's not even close to a conspiracy.
Stuff was used to built to last, and now things are built
and they're like,
for like 3-5 years.
Yeah.
And that's why your warranties are 3 and 5 years, and then right after that, like
they freaking break.
They crap out on you.
It's so frustrating. Okay. All right. Let's jump to the next one. Here we go. Buckle up. You ready for this one?
I have another thought on this though, Ruth, before we go.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Like, it's just another thought that I've always had that now plugged into Travis's like theory of, what'd you call it?
Incremental release. I there's an actual name for it, but I don't remember it because I wasn't that good of a student, to be honest, but I do remember it,
So, like, we have the first, like, mission, like, people go walk on the moon. It's a big deal. Awesome. That wasn't the first mission, but, like, they go on the moon.
Yeah. We get you.
Then the next time they go, somebody walks on the moon, but, like, way less people are watching.
Yeah.
So then what happens the third time? Something happens. Now, like, they're going to die up there. And so I was thinking, people are super engaged now. And then they come back, and then you have all these other launches. Less people care, and then you have the Challenger disaster, which people are like, convenient. All the people that died on the Challenger all have like twins that are alive today and teachers and stuff.
Have you heard this?
You not heard this one? I feel like we talked about this before.
Maybe we did. I think it was in an early episode.
That's the cool part about being 50. I get to enjoy a lot of this stuff
twice. You
twice.
enjoy stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We don't need to go into that right now.
Christ wasn't crucified, and you're like, what? Like, you told me.
For the record, I didn't say he wasn't. I said that video saying, watch out for false prophets. That's literally what I said. So, hey, chat. That's what you say now. Hey, chat. I didn't say that he wasn't crucified. I said, this is false.
That's true. He did say that.
Right. I'm worried about Fielding's soul. He doesn't even freaking know where Jesus Christ was crucified.
You just put a lot of pressure on me at the moment. Okay. And I didn't want to say the wrong answer. So I figured.
It was a blank. He's like, I don't know, like the world? Like the earth?
Yeah.
It's like, true.
Yeah.
Middle East? Yep.
Whatever. True. Whatever. Fielding would be like, you're wrong. It was on Mars when it was a planet.
Yeah. That's why.
And space rock from Mars came to Earth. That's how we got the Bible, Travis.
Okay. Yeah. And you wait, there's going to be more records brought forward.
In comets.
That's why the Russia comet that blew up a couple years ago, that's the next record that's coming out.
Yeah, they're translating it.
Mark my words.
Oh,
It's going to come out in Russian, though, which is kind of frustrating.
It'll take a while to translate to English.
None of this is true. All right, let's keep going.
At some point in the ancient past, a race of people seemed to have landed on this planet and began to develop this planet as a breakaway civilization, and at some point engaged mankind. See, they didn't create us. We were already here. In the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, they talk about there was a being here, and they wanted to get us to do the work for them, so they did something where they called adding their essence to us, which is some type of a genetic modification of sorts. Maybe our junk DNA is what they unplugged. But whatever it was, we ended up going to work for these people, and they found the first gold mine in exactly where it says in the tablets at Adam's calendar in South Africa, and it's been dated now to 200,000 years old. Right when the tablet said the first gold mine happened, and people started working under the tutelage of these people.
That one has a lot to unpack in it.
Yeah,
that's the Anunnaki story.
So Anunnaki, though, I thought Anunnaki like created us or something, but they just took us.
No, so he's saying that. Like, we existed, but then they added their essence to us.
Now it might be like, that's interesting. So that could be like when we were created in God's image, in language. Yeah, he just.
But
then he's like gets in this weird stuff that's like high level, and then he's like, and the whole reason was gold and them dar heels. It's like. Because gold's beautiful. We can make jewelries with it. It's like, what? It seems like a lot of work. And then this freaking time traveling, genetically altering these apes to become humans, and then sleeping with them and making giants. And the reason is because they got gold miners and some donkeys. They got little pickaxes like, ching, ching, ching.
Because their civilization was dying and they needed the gold to spray in the sky. Travis, were you not listening last week?
I do love that. That's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, gold spray. I've actually had that. My daughter does it when she goes clubbing. It's like, she's got sparkle. So that's more important.
Right.
You gotta look dope when the lights are gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Besides the gold thing,
you're hooked up.
Yeah. Besides the gold thing, there's some cool stuff. Like I think honestly, like the Anunnaki story is interesting to me because, like I said earlier, I want to keep my head on the swivel. Like I don't understand the nature of God. Mm-hmm. Like one thing I don't necessarily believe, and I got to be careful because I don't want my mom to cry. She probably watches this.
Right.
But
I think I saw her in the comments. I think she does.
Yeah, but it's like I don't believe God's like just a dude with a white beard kind of up there hanging out. Like, what? You know what I mean? So like some of this stuff is interesting to me because like the nature of God's going to be different. And I get that from when I know the Jews were like, believed this like version of Christ coming, because they believe a Messiah is coming still.
Yeah, to this day.
To this day. It's just, and he's going to come back and he's going to free the Jews. And it's like, he's like a warrior, you know, he's like Conan the Barbarian. And so then when he came back like a sheep and was slaughtered, they're like, that can't be.
Right.
Because we don't believe him. So I want to make sure I don't make that same mistake. Like when I don't want this Project Bluebeam thing and then it's this, they blow up San Francisco and the next thing I'm like, well, that must be Jesus because he was in the sky. Because I was told he was going to be in the sky, so then I have to, well, what if he comes back on the ground? And I'm like, well, that can't be him because he was supposed to be.
He comes up from the honeycomb earth, and he's like,
the honeycomb
earth.
I've
risen, and you're like,
nope, because the sky.
I'm looking up.
Yeah. So I guess my point is like with the Anunnaki, it's like I don't want to just say, well, that's stupid because they're aliens and people on Ancient Aliens. Talk about them, therefore that can't be true. Like that's faulty logic too. So the story that is kind of interesting is like, all right, so there's this he says we, but there's this animal that exists, and then they take that animal and what did he say? Like
add their essence.
Their essence. Is that from their writings of the Anunnaki or something?
I think so. I think that's the way it's like.
That could be to me like, you know, you're from the earth, you're created. So the earth, these people existed, whatever they were, animals, people, and then they're created in God's image. That fits,
right,
on the surface. That's interesting to me.
Until the gold hit.
God, till then he's like, and the reason is, the reason you're going to have eternal life and happiness and joy from the teachings of like the most powerful being to ever exist is so we can get gold spray.
Well, what does Satan want?
He doesn't want us to have gold spray? I guess how does Satan fit into that story?
Satan wants you digging up the gold.
Satan wants the gold, Doug. They both want the gold, Doug. What?
No. Satan wants you to want gold.
Okay, that's true.
Right.
The riches of the earth.
Right.
But wouldn't both in this story, the Satan figure and the God figure of the Anunnaki, they both wanted us to do gold, I thought.
Well, they both want gold.
Because their planet's dying.
Because their planet's dying.
But Satan wanted to force us to dig the gold.
Yeah.
I can't get past the gold thing. Help me understand. So then they'll take the gold back to their planet.
Yeah. Put it in an airplane. Fly it around. And chemtrail.
They're chemtrailing on
their
their planet. But it's good on their planet. It's bad on our planet.
Yeah.
Because we're using silver.
Right. We're using aluminum.
Yeah.
Aerosol.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what to really think about that one.
So I think of that one, it's like he's talking about, like, let's say God is up here, right? He's talking about people that can travel to stars that exist that can add their essence to other worlds to then create things.
So he created them
so
too?
is he like he's talking about like lower level infantry, not God, because God's not going to care about gold. God's not going to care about any stuff.
We're not saying this is Jesus Christ or anything.
No, this is just like, right?
That was where I'm like,
God could create something, and then that creation, like, we create like Hot Pockets.
Yeah.
And they're delicious, but faulty.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well,
did God your mouth?
Yeah.
And
they'll burn your mouth, and then they'll like freeze. If you're getting like a spicy one, then yeah.
Yeah, dude, you know. Yeah.
You gotta watch. Yeah,
but like
plug
God,
for Jim Gaffigan's Hot Pockets, 20 minutes. It's
the best.
He's like, what is up with the fat-free Hot Pocket? He's like, just unwrap it and just throw it in the toilet. Skip the middle step. I'm like, that's pretty funny. Mouth burn. And then the next day, you're just like, oh, guts. It's like, why am I eating this?
Oh, it's too good. All right.
Okay, okay. That makes me feel better about it because I want to avoid sacrilegion.
Well, I think you're
sacrilegion.
I guess that'd be like
you're wanting to
Yeah, but that doesn't sound right.
Sacrilegiousness.
You're wanting to avoid
sacrilegiousness.
We should ask Billy Carson what that word is.
Yeah,
he'd tell us.
He'll be like, that's made up by
He's like, yo, man, I got a Harvard degree, and the Anunnaki here to get some gold in them dar hills. I mean, it's just so cool. It's such a cool story. I mean, it seems to be like a cartoon, man.
All right, here's our next one.
There's a famous Sumerian cylinder scroll. I'm going to send you a copy of this image. You
He's
see an Anunnaki
Stargate.
god,
the
call him a god with a lowercase g. It ain't the god. Okay, we know God is a god for real, but that ain't the God. He's sitting on this box. This box has a symbol for magnetism on it.
He might have just alleviated a lot of my concern with Billy Carson. Did he just say, we know there's a God?
Yeah.
Is that what he just said?
Yeah. Yeah, do you want me to rewind it?
He's saying they're talking about gods, like lowercase g.
Lowercase g. Okay, let's hear this part again. All right, Billy, you might be in my good
Sumerian
grace.
cylinder scroll. I'm going to send you a copy of this image. You see an Anunnaki god, you call him a god with a lowercase g. It ain't the God. Okay, we know God is a god for real, but that ain't the God. He's sitting on this box. This box has a symbol for magnetism on it. There's this tripod thing up in the air, and it's got this disc. Underneath the disc is a gigantic stone table, and there's human beings. You can tell they're human because their height compared to this guy, they're tiny. And a human is picking it up with one hand. That disc is a cymatic frequency. You can perfectly match. I found the exact frequency, and I have a video on that frequency, which creates that exact same cymatic pattern. And so that cymatic pattern and magnetism in some way reduce the weight of that gigantic stone table, allowing an average normal human being to pick it up with one hand. I'm going to send you this image. Pretty interesting stuff.
Okay, hold on.
Dude, I would love for Billy just to have a conversation with me and then just be like, I'm going to send you that. I'd be like 6. And
Yeah.
I want to see it.
I want to see him just be on the thing. See, look, 20 tons of stone. He just lifts it.
This is the image that he's actually talking about.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, so he's got like this guy over here, this dude in the corner.
An Anunnaki.
That's an Anunnaki.
And he's huge.
He's a giant, like the Nephilim.
What?
Okay, and then he's got the normal sized people that are right here. He's holding the table, and the table's actually not touching the ground. And then on top of the table is the disc, and you see this design.
Yeah.
Basically, what Billy Carson says is he's found the frequency.
So, and there's somebody above him that is spraying or aiming the device on there, and then that makes that
and they
design.
Just lift it.
And this is like that same thing that we posted in, I think, was it the last episode or the episode before? I can't remember. Where they take sand and they put it on like a subwoofer or whatever, or like a table, and they play a certain frequency and it makes different designs.
I can't remember if that was last week or the week before. But yeah, there's all these different designs that sound waves can make. And so making that design, he's saying that his company has made and tuned something to that frequency that then makes that shape.
That's interesting. So I looked it up. Cymatic sounds like more of the stuff like space meeting, but it actually is it's a thing. It's cymatic, CYMATICS.
Yeah.
And Hans Jenny,
trustworthy guy.
He's a real physician. He basically, I guess, originated the thoughts of this.
Well, not according to this.
Yeah, not according to this.
He's rediscovered.
Dude, freaking, there we go with the freaking, we're taking over their culture, or what's it called? Cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation.
And you didn't using tech.
Yeah, but
who'd have thunk?
Interesting. So like cornstarch and water solution under influence of a sine wave, and it shows like, wow, that actually kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, we've all seen like the woofer making the sand move and stuff. But then, so what we're saying then is that there's certain frequency. Did he say he has the frequency that can lift this stuff?
Well, he has a frequency that made that design.
That design.
And then with that frequency, whatever frequency that is, and magnets somehow in there, I don't know.
Oh, so he can't replicate it.
Well, he's saying he can. Didn't he?
No, he said he can replicate the symbol, that's on this ancient thing.
Like
so
that.
he can replicate that symbol.
So now he just
Tuning to that frequency.
But what he's saying is that the device that they have was using frequency and obviously something else, but it made it
magnetism.
so that he could pick up that table with one hand and carry that whole thing. So it's basically what he's saying that same technology could be the way that the pyramids were made.
Well,
all these ancient structures that they are like stones like 100 tons.
And look how like the image it looks to me. I'm trying to look at it critically, but also open-mindedly. So that's interesting. There's those 4 things that are in the earth. I don't know necessarily that, but then around them is like wave patterns in the ground, or I don't know if that's the earth or the floor or whatever. And so that existing waves, right? And then there's the wave pattern that's on top or above, maybe. I mean, think of this. I mean, how crazy would it have been to go to well, maybe not to the Egyptians. They would have probably already understood it. But like, let's say the 1700s, and you go to somebody and you're describing to them how an airplane wing works, right?
Right.
And you guys know how, so like the wings bigger on top, so the air moves faster on top, and then it's flat on the bottom, so it doesn't have to move as fast. So it's like, because the air has to travel a greater distance on the top, so then that makes less pressure, so it lifts the plane up, right? Well, look at that. What if it's something with that, where because there's that frequencies above the table, that it's accessing something similar to an airplane, which would be just as crazy 300 years ago to explain that as this is to us now. And then also, let's just not skip past the fact that why on earth would they make the dude on the right that much bigger than the dudes on the left?
Well, this is like Sumerian stuff, and then in Egypt they have the same thing, like all those massive carvings of huge people, and then like just regular size.
So I've always kind of just excused that. They're like, well, he's the guy in charge, so they make him larger, just to like show his authority.
Yeah, but when have they ever done that in any other culture?
Yeah,
I will say in anime, sometimes they'll use that type of imagery. Like if you watch One Punch Man,
I haven't seen it.
It's really serious.
What's the guy with like the rubber? He's like made of rubber. What's that?
Gumby?
No. But also, yes, that description also fits Gumby.
The Fantastic Four guy?
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Never mind.
Rubber Man?
He wants to be a pirate, wants to be the best pirate.
Popeye?
Oh, One Piece.
One Piece. There we go.
How do you know what that is?
Yeah. I haven't actually watched that. I watched the live action one, but not with my son. But. That I've never seen that before. Do we know what the little lions are? Why is he sitting on little lions? If we're going literal with this whole thing,
what, the lions down here on the bottom
or whatever? I don't know if they're lions. What are those things?
Oh, right here
on the bottom right,
inside the box.
I think those are probably kittens.
The Ark of the Covenant.
He might like cats.
That's Ark of the Covenant number 3.
One of the Ark of the Covenants. There you go.
Yeah, he's just sitting on it. Maybe it was like that was the only thing that was big enough for him to sit on. I don't know. It could have been like a treasure chest, and he's like, "Oh, this is big enough for me to sit on." I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. But pretty interesting, though.
Yeah,
it would be interesting.
He's holding a thing that looks like it's significant too. Like it's a circle, and sitting on a perfectly straight thing. You know what I mean? He's holding.
You know what that is?
What?
That's a flute. That plays frequencies.
Oh, dude. Hold on a second. Speaking of the Ark of the Covenant,
I'm ready.
So, if you'll remember, the Israelites got into their promised land, and who was already there? I mean, if you believe the writings, a bunch of people needed to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to...
Is that the one where they go around the city?
Yeah.
It was the... Oh, my gosh. What was the name of the people that were there?
Because this city was called... Why am I forgetting now? Jericho.
There you go.
So they go to the city Jericho, and using the Ark of the Covenant, they put it in the front of their armies, and they marched, and then what would they do? They would play trumpets at prescribed times.
And then it blasted a sound wave.
Blasted the walls to pieces.
Yeah.
Well, God did. But I also think that a lot of times, if God uses me to go do something, God still did it.
Right.
So it's like, I don't think God,
it's because they were
smashed with his hands or anything.
They were playing the right frequency necessary to lift the walls, and then they stop playing
Crunch
and they
them.
just. It'd be like if you built a bunch of blocks and someone took it and shook it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's in the Bible, bro.
Yeah.
Frequencies.
Crazy. Okay.
Hey, go, man.
Let's.
I exist on a different frequency, so when I pop
Here,
in
we're
every now and
gonna
then.
jump to this one. We probably have time for like one more.
When Willy Wonka too, he's like.
Exactly. They're telling us the truth in movies. And with the Oompa Loompas, smaller. Right?
Oh, okay. That's too deep.
They estimate that one human body can store 13.5 billion years of data. Everything that exists, everything that's
talked about
happened
this
since
too,
the
on the
beginning of time
DNA.
is stored inside of your individual body and mine as well. We're a walking universal library. We are the way for the universe to figure out and explore the third dimension and understand what it's like to be and live in the third dimension as every individual living thing. And we're all connected through this quantum entanglement. Every single thing that exists is all connected, still connected. Space is an illusion, distance is an illusion, separation is all an illusion.
What do you mean it's an illusion?
We appear to be sitting in two separate chairs with a space in between us, but we're all atoms on an energetic grid that's connected and has always been connected. So the space in between us appears to be a distance, but if you go on the quantum level, you discover that we're both local. This entire universe is made up of a complete holography. We're living in a fractal holographic matrix, a matrix of light, and it doesn't take away from there being a creator, because what I'm telling you about is the method used to make this creation.
Okay, so
Okay. I love that he just said that last part. That was good.
So what he's talking about is the law of one. You didn't even have to reach, dude. You could have just touched me.
We're already touching.
We're already
according to
touching.
him.
We're already touching.
Yeah, why'd you have to touch him?
We're entangled.
We're entangled right now.
So the law of one.
I apologize for what I've done a
the,
few times.
so the law of one is this theory that the known universe is just this thing that is created by the universe to experience
Like God.
itself. So
Whoa. Alan Watts talks about this. One of his famous quotes is, "We are the universe trying to figure itself out."
yeah. So all of us are one. We're one person. We're one thing. We're one entity.
The word of wisdom is a huge disadvantage when you get into some of these things, because I'm like,
If only.
I'm not even currently lit up on stuff.
Yeah.
I know. Could you imagine?
Just imagine if I just had my hip surgeries. I could be like,
You'd be really tapped
Yeah,
in.
No, we need that stuff that we talked about,
Ayahuasca.
like ayahuasca.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll happen one day. I'll get some.
All right.
Okay, so that's what he's talking about. The law of one is we're all the same.
I mean, so many religions talk about that. I mean, honestly, we talk a lot about with Christ, the atonement. I mean, there's a huge, at one-ment and being one in Christ.
Right.
Well, and the science behind it. So, like, you're just touching your mic, right? So, if you think about all the things that
But
we
am
can
I?
touch with our hands, when you look on it on if you're looking at it like a high-powered microscope, you would see that because your hand's made of atoms, right? The table's made of atoms, the mic's made of atoms. But what actually happens when you are touching it and you think that you're feeling the microphone, there is space in between your hand and the microphone that's made up of atoms and made up of space. So when you actually touch things, you're not actually physically touching it. You're touching the space between those items. And like the air that we breathe, everything that's in this room, if you think about air, it's made up of what? It's made up of, oxygen.
It's all a
We're breathing
simulation.
out CO2. And oxygen is made up of atoms. And so every time you move your hand really fast, you feel what you think is wind, but that's basically your hand passing all those atoms and moving space. And so everything is completely connected through
There's
atoms.
this
So, like
princess.
the simulation could be a physical thing. So, like, it doesn't, because I believe that this is physical, doesn't make it not a simulation.
Right. So there's this princess in Tibet where I think it's in Tibet. Daniel could look it up. Where
See, the feeling you're already doing it, dude. That's like what the ancient aliens nerds do. They mispronounce words, but this sounds smarter.
yeah.
I'm gonna start calling
Have
it
you ever
Tibet.
been to Utah?
Utah.
Yeah.
And we live in
Wait,
Utah.
wait. So what's it called?
I don't even want to correct you because I think we're gonna nail. We're gonna put your face up here.
Sick.
Yeah, because when I watch Ancient Aliens, which I love the show, but they always pronounce the things. Maybe they're correct and we just are all wrong. So don't even change it, bro.
Okay, I don't know what I said
Tibet.
wrong. Tibet.
Yeah.
So there's
I
this.
didn't hear the first time.
There's this rock.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Or
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong.
Well, he's been watching that show for like the longest time. Maybe it's like they've put his essence on
You
him.
got like what was the
They
name?
put
Like
their essence in
what's
me.
Homeboy, the originator of all of this? Really, the Godfather. And he got that awesome accent. He wrote Chariots of the Gods.
Eric Von Daniken.
Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's the one I'm kind of talking about. It's like he's always like he's enunciating everything like this. Like it must get the Tibet and then the aliens that come to the Tibet. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So like I love
think
that
it's
you're
just a
you're just
second
raising
language for
I think
him?
you're raising the bar of our conspiracy channel.
Naturally.
Yeah.
When I tap into this frequency,
Damn. I'm
I'm
loving
here
it.
to help. I'm here
Yeah.
to help.
Yeah,
I'm loving
and
it.
I mean the fact that he disappears, I thought that was the next level, but no, Tibet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was disappearing, no big deal. I've known Fielding for a long time.
Well, you know a version of me.
Yeah. This reflection.
But
of
what kind
his-
of- okay.
Right. You know a Fielding.
Yes.
Okay, back to Tibet.
My bad.
Tibet.
A princess?
There's a princess.
Okay.
Look up like there's a rock where I think I'm confusing two stories. So there's one where like a Buddhist monk like puts his hand through a rock, and there's still the handprint in the rock.
Yes, I
And then
there's
the
pictures of that.
princess like becomes
Right?
like a giant
I don't know,
or
found
something
out.
like that, and there's like huge footprints of her because you can like figure out how to tune into the frequency of everything because
Yes.
everything has a frequency. So Daniel's talking about like the atoms of everything,
And they believe that's real.
and I'm talking about like the frequency of everything. So if you can tap into the frequency of this table, you could just put your hands through because it's
there's so much
all
space.
just different
And
frequencies.
we know that through our level of science that we have as human beings now. That's true.
Yeah.
Which is weird if you think about it. It's like, what if I just did this a bunch of times?
Yeah.
But
Or if you were like had your hand on something that's like vibrating, could you then like pass through?
that thing that dude was holding.
I'll find the
That's
photos
interesting.
of the things.
Yeah, I was
That
trying
is
to find I couldn't
interesting.
find it. I'd do a deeper dive.
I mean,
Probably spelling
the
Tibet
Beach
wrong.
Boys. I mean, the Beach Boys.
Well, what about them? Other
Good
than being studs.
vibrations. Do-do-do-do-do.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
vibrations.
Yeah, they're
I would have to pay a royalty with my freaking perfect rendition of that
they're
song.
It's called parody. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
what do they what do they call when you like work for the I can't think of what it was, but they're a plant.
The Beach Boys?
No, I'm just trying to say that.
Please don't.
That's
That
why
could
they're
be.
talking about good vibrations. The government told them.
Well, that freaking Brian Wilson just went nuts after too, so maybe he was trying to hold the secret in.
Yeah, it's too much for him.
He's hanging out with Stanley Kubrick, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what have we
Yeah.
done?
He's like, we
betrayed
just-
humanity."
Yeah. He's
Well,
like,
Brian was like, "I'm just gonna go to bed." And Stanley Kubrick's like, "I'm gonna keep making movies for 20 years, and then I want to like die, quote unquote." Yeah. So different reactions to the same stimulus.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
last one.
okay.
Last one. We're gonna hit this one, and then we'll do
These are
our
probably
final.
really lame to watch, but it's very fun to make this episode.
Great Pyramid at Giza, for sure, a wireless power plant, amongst other things. It was a multifunctional stone computer
For
and a
sure.
wireless power plant. It was also a communications device. So if you look at old images or old pictures of the Great Pyramid area at Giza, you'll
This is
see
all
that the
too much
Nile
truth
used to
for
run
Travis.
right up alongside of those pyramids. Now it's meandered miles and miles away. One of the main reasons why they don't want you to know is there was an ancient war that happened. That war, that second war I told you about,
believe.
that's why there's glass in the sands at the Giza Plateau. When you dig
like
your
a
hand in the
war.
sand, you pull up
Yeah,
balls of
war in
glass.
heaven.
That's 3,000 degrees to create glass out of sand. That's
Balls
weapons
of
fire.
glass.
There's still evidence of weapons fire on the Bent Pyramid right out there at Giza as well, which I've documented many times. It's coming out my new TV show. Nonetheless, the water would run underneath in these gigantic aquifers. The tubes for those aquifers are still there, but when you have running water underneath magnetized crystal granite, which is what the base is made out of, you create something called physiostatic electricity.
Dude, I'm only laughing because, one,
You can't handle it.
conviction, if you're ever going to deliver something, freaking,
Yeah.
you better believe it. And I like
Yeah.
that he does. I like how he also just drops, like, in passing. Like, it's like, so then obviously, you know, the balls of glass that you just could pick up in Giza.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. Have you guys heard of
I've
balls?
never heard of that.
I mean, I was just like quickly Googling.
I mean, we can see if we can find it. But dude, there's so much to unpack
There's so
there.
much. But the opening statement is like, Giza, everyone knows. Or what is it?
Had to start it over.
Yeah, just do the first
Pyramid at
the
Giza,
first 10
for
seconds.
sure, a wireless power plant,
That's it.
amongst other things.
Like, that's how I'm going to start my sentence from now. I was like,
For sure.
like, you know, like.
Power plant.
Yeah.
I like it, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one that I could use in my life. I'm like, you know, I have no good. I'm not going to even attempt.
Cooking oil,
Yeah.
for sure, good for your kitchen.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Cooking oil,
Yeah.
new cleaner.
So jot that down.
Yeah, just write this down. Cooking oil is the new cleaner. But I'm with you on. I'm with them on, like. I think one of the things I would like him to do, but then obviously I don't think I would enjoy it as much.
Mm-hmm.
Slow down. I mean, he's like, these are concepts that we're just, bro.
So here's
And then he just drops it, which will be my new TV show.
here's what I think. Here's what I think.
Subtle plug.
Yeah, it's like, all right, bro. We're trying to believe you, and then you're like plugging your show in a one. You did like a 3-sentence paragraph that dropped like nuclear war in Giza, the pyramids of computer. I have a TV show.
Yeah.
I mean,
So this is what I think happens. When Alex Jones is on Joe Rogan, Alex Jones says things so fast.
yeah.
And
he
then-
reminds me of Alex Jones.
And then Joe Rogan's like,
Whoa,
pause.
whoa.
You just said 5 things. Go into them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I get what he's saying.
Billy's like following along. He's
Right.
like, yeah, This is my
Because I'm
frequency.
like, I've subscribed to this nonsense for years. So as he's talking about things, it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, there were power plants, like there was wars that were
Have
going
you heard
on.
about the glass balls?
Yeah.
Oh,
so it's like,
jeez. Yeah, duh.
this stuff goes on, and I'm like, yeah. Like when he was talking that last episode or the last video where he's like, oh, this freaking, like, we're all the same thing, experiencing the universe, and there's no space between us because space is an illusion, and it's like, We're like, if you've never
Okay.
heard any of this stuff, everything is flying at
But
you.
he knows he's like on a former Navy SEAL show that's like 2 years removed from doing like knife reviews.
Yeah.
And it's just like pretend we're in that sphere.
Yeah.
More.
When
more
you
than-
watch
I
the
think
actual
I-
episode, there's several times where Shawn Ryan's like, okay, back up. I can't.
think it's hard.
This is
I
hard.
think it's hard.
He's like, can we
to,
take a break? Let's take a break.
to slow it down because then the show would be 50 hours.
Yeah,
'Cause
this
he's like-
actual interview was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I will say I'm looking for the glass ball thing, and then like it's like the 10 crazy facts about the pyramid, and I'm reading them, and I'm like, these seem so implausible.
Well,
It was
supposed-
built over 20 years.
Supposedly, the pyramids were built with the top down.
What?
Yeah.
What?
So this is, I'm trying to think
You're
of
pulling a Billy whatever
I'm
his face
thinking-
is on me right now.
I'm trying to think of
slow down, Billy.
what the theory is,
What?
but it's like they were made with cymatics, right?
Oh, so they're floating the
But they're
things up?
floating the things up, and so it was built like backwards. So you think if you're building it so it's perfectly like connected and united to the freaking stars, to Sirius B and all that stuff, that you start it pointing at that thing and then you just like build it backwards. But that's like again, like a crazy theory. But there's a lot of wild stuff out there.
Dude.
And I love every single crazy
I love Billy
point
Carson,
of view.
though. He is probably my new favorite. Like,
he's like,
very
obviously, Egypt had light bulbs.
Well, let's just start with the assumption that ancient aliens gave them light bulbs, and the pyramid is a giant computer.
Well, have you seen...
given that, now we're gonna go. It's like whoa.
Yeah,
dude.
Have you seen the carving of like the giant light bulb?
Yes.
Okay.
That's actually one of the ones.
I'm like, I feel like that one was a little more common.
Yeah, that was one of the early seasons of Ancient Aliens, which was kind of how when I first started getting into this, I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting. These whack jobs. Now I'm like becoming one.
You hired a few of them.
Yeah. During COVID, we're just like, I'm glad they shut down everything so we can just talk about. We're like professional conspiracy talkers.
Yeah.
That no one listens to because we don't do anything to broadcast it.
Yeah.
But now we are.
And now we're here. We've been talking about doing it for 10 years. So.
Oh my gosh, that was kind of interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what people think about that. The weird part is you're like, that dude's a homeless, crazy crackhead.
Right.
Wait, no, he's not. What? Oh, I wanted to see. You mentioned he had some. I wanted to look.
Well,
up
David Wilcock is the same thing. Like,
what did you say that was? You were gonna look up?
Just what his actual accolades and
yeah.
achievements are.
Yeah, here I'll pull it up for you.
They're also everybody within that Law of One thing, which is the one that I subscribe to. Like, they're all like PhD astrophysicists. Like, they're not just like college dropout guys that are like, I know, I'm gonna peddle that the moon is plasma. Which the moon is plasma.
What?
You can't go there. You can't go to the moon.
Well, you also think it's a projection above the flat Earth.
Right.
My head hurts.
No. It wasn't a projection above the flat Earth. It was a reflection off the waters.
Dude. He's got a picture with this guy's maybe my third favorite weirdo. The one from Ancient Aliens.
See the
with
one with the crazy hair?
Yeah. And the way he talks.
Giorgio.
The way he talks too, yeah.
Giorgio
he talks like he's just everything is so excited about.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also like, dude, I'm as excited listening to him.
I know. It's amazing. I am kind of making fun, but not in a bad way.
I want to start like a cult. And then.
Okay, jeez.
That was quick.
You probably need to remember where the people, the important players in your religion, where they were born, where they died. Just get that part down.
Well, he didn't ever die. That's why I was like,
bingo!
That's why I was like, I don't even need to remember it.
Yeah, it's like, I know he's born in Bethlehem, still alive.
Fielding's over here. Fielding's over here. Perry.
Yeah.
Perry. Oh man, too good. Okay, hold on.
He's just one of the three fights.
It is interesting with Billy Carson that I've been listening to Graham Hancock talk about I still don't know what he's really saying, but the Greater Dryas or whatever period 11,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But Billy's saying
the Younger Dryas.
So what he's saying, Billy's like 11,000 years. 200,000 years is his timeline apparently from his own website.
Who's the 200,000 years?
Billy Carson says that humanity has a 200,000 year timeline from the rise of civilization. I'm like, that's a long time.
Well, you think of the pole. How often does the pole shift?
So are we just keep surviving, but we lose our technology?
Yeah,
is that
it's
what
just
saying?
a reset. So technology and everything resets.
That, then? That's
those that like can go into outer space or go into bunkers or something.
Are we descendants from like a different creator of Facebook that built a bunker?
Yeah, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
We're from the descendants
of
like
I was so good at jiu-jitsu.
Zark Muckerberg.
Zark Muckerberg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's our pappy.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. So Billy Carson, founder and CEO of Forbidden Knowledge, Inc.
Okay.
He's a best-selling author.
Okay, that's true.
He has also won the 2022 Stellar Citizens Award, whatever that is. I don't even know.
Come on.
Obviously.
Okay.
Well-known award.
says that Billy Carson earned the Certificate of Science with an emphasis in neuroscience at MIT and has a certificate in ancient civilization from Harvard University.
A certificate.
Among his most notable achievements, Billy is the CEO of First Class Space Agency based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Here's why he has
First
private
class.
space meetings.
His space agency has special space meetings. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, dude, that's so perfect.
It says, what it actually says,
Dude, we need to have some
his
space
space
meetings in our
agency-
freaking
We're going to
podcast.
start having them. Yeah.
his space agency is involved in the research and development of alternative propulsion systems and zero-point energy devices. There you go, dude.
And we're trying to figure out how to make a living. And this dude has a freaking space agency.
Making zero-point energy.
Zero point energy. Isn't that? I remember Zero Point Energy. Do you remember one of my favorite superhero movies? The one with the family in their cartoon.
Oh, The Incredibles.
The Incredibles.
Dude, you didn't land that. That was like, you built it up and then...
Yeah.
remember the
I was
bad-
thinking
the
like
bad guy?
Superman or like
Remember the bad guy?
The Incredibles?
one with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got there.
Yeah, yeah.
And the bad guy, he wants to be his protege or whatever, and then he's like, get out of here, kid. And then he goes out and comes back, and then when he comes back, remember he has 0 point energy, like that ring or something, like, and then he can like move stuff around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all these movies are just freaking telling us the truth, dude.
I know,
Even The Incredibles.
Wow.
The truth just is leaking out. They just can't contain it.
It is interesting because let's just assume that's true, it's working. Like my grandpa, he probably wants to roll over his grave if you find out what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's
We probably
"So I raised a
was
bunch of
digging for gold,
fruity-"
and you're just making fun of it.
Yeah.
I don't even think gold.
What's
He's
wrong?
like, I just left my whole family
Yeah.
across the freaking plains
Yeah,
to
exactly.
dig gold up.
Yep.
There's
Am
some
I-
super tall guys that were
What's wrong with
told me
gold?
they were going to take care of it.
What's wrong with gold?
Yeah. You know, it provides food, puts it on the table.
Right. So anyway, your grandpa pissed off rolling in his grave.
Well, I mean, he just wouldn't. I'm just saying that generation, like if people believe in all this stuff, like, you know, it's very much accepted. They didn't believe it back then,
No.
or if they did, they'd talk about it conspiratorially.
Yeah.
Even though I will say, my wife's dad. This is like first year of our marriage. This is back way before I met Philly. So
Yeah.
I was
This was
like-
like circa
I was on the other side.
1990.
yeah,
It's been a little bit weird. Feeling it's like this 12
and he's telling me about honeycomb Earth
Yeah, he's getting
and the
picked
12
up by
tribes of
aliens.
Israel. Like most of the tribes of Israel are in the earth, and he's telling me all this stuff. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because he had, you know, that's back when you read books.
Yeah.
And then if you went to the bathroom, he really read books. 'Cause in his bathroom across from it was this huge bookshelf.
Yeah.
So you could read the books. And guess what book was there? Chariot of the Gods.
Ooh, that's
Eric
a
von
classic.
Daniken. So,
Yeah.
so my wife's dad was super woke, which is ironic because my wife doesn't really, she doesn't not believe in this stuff, but she just doesn't care. She's like,
Yeah.
what do I care? I got a family.
Right.
We follow the prophet.
Yeah.
Take care of business.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like to think about it.
Yeah. It's fun to think about it.
Yeah, it's fun to think about it.
That's why when I met you and we were talking about things, there were just like these little tiny archives in your brain that were being opened up, and you're like,
I remember
for
that
some
book.
reason that rings true in my head. I can't quite
Yeah.
put my finger on it
I
because
feel
you
like-
sound like a maniac.
I feel like I was sitting
And I'm just
down.
like, look, dude, there's these deep underground bases.
Yeah.
They're killing pedophiles.
The pedophile
It's
versus
gonna be
white
great.
hat one was I would drive home and be like, what? I'm in my freaking awesome Cadillac. Life's good. And I'm like, I hope this is not true because I just like driving my Cadillac.
Yeah.
This will never change. We'll always be working here and be best friends forever. Well, not exactly true. Cadillac's in the junkyard.
Cadillacs in the junkyard.
Yep. Sadly.
The memories of Harriman
bad
have
decade
long
for-
been
yeah.
long been forgotten.
Oh, too funny. Well,
That was good.
yeah, I hope people liked it.
I think we're going to see Billy Carson around.
Yeah.
I heard he has a TV show
Hey,
coming up.
Look, I'm going to call it.
gonna watch that TV
I'm
show.
calling it right now. One day we'll have Billy Carson in our studio,
Nice.
and Travis will be able to ask all the questions that he wants.
And as he talks really fast, Travis will be like, "What?" And I'll just be like, "What Billy means is."
Yeah, hold on. I'll take it from here, Billy.
Yeah, let me backfill.
Let me do your light work. Because he's just gonna.
Yeah.
Billy's just gonna start with like, well, bleh, and then I'm like, wait.
He'll be like,
what?
So obviously we're in a binary star system, and the Anunnaki star died, and then I'll be like, oh, sorry, but Travis is.
Yeah.
So Travis thinks we have one son, and then Billy and I will be like, this idiot.
One son. What a joke. Okay, so obviously the Jetsons cartoon was actually a live transmission from their planet and I'll be like, MIT certificate? Like,
How do I?
Did
how do I
MIT
get
stand
one?
for something like monster cookie?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, it's just like a fake thing that they steal the initials.
It's like
MIT.
It's like
It's a weekend
Montana
course.
Institute of like tuba.
Trailers. And he goes and learns how to back up and hook up trailers over the weekend.
But it's a
Gets
real
a
thing. It's
certificate
like a real thing. You gotta
MIT.
Yeah.
It's like framed in his office.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna find one of those. I'm gonna get one.
Yeah, we need to get some certificates.
I'm gonna get.
I'm gonna
some
get like a LinkedIn
certificate.
learning on like alien technology.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Print it out.
Oh,
frame
man.
it.
Yeah.
Too good.
That was
Well,
too good.
Brett, take us home, Daniel.
big shout out to my buddies Travis and Fielding. I'm Daniel. You guys watch Connect the Dots. And we appreciate you guys being here. Hopefully you guys had a good time. We did. I'm still wiping tears off my face. So we're now at 177 subscribers. I know you think the quality of our podcast, you think that would be 177,000.
It will
It's
be.
just 177 connectors of quality people.
We love him.
Now, please like, subscribe, do all the good things that you should do on YouTube, but also share our content. It helps us out a ton. One day we're going to have Billy Carson on our show. So we're going to need to increase the subscribers, you guys. So share it with your family, share it with your friends, and get our name out there because we're going to keep...
We got to pay for those certificates somehow.
Pay for those certificates.
Yeah. They could be
Our
expensive.
weekend trips.
It's like, nailed it.
Nailed it. Oh. But most importantly, as always, don't forget, you're a champion. You right there, you're a champion. So don't forget it. We'll be back. Thanks for watching. Oh, there it goes again.
Yeah. It's so boring.
It's so boring.
I wish you'd pick a different way to do it.
I'm trying to. I just.